teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. It's running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, double nine. Down in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to everybody's favorite hour of the day. It is the Power Hour here on your sports network. DJ here. Got Scotty in the middle, CJ on the side, and D-Rix and Rob holding it down in the trenches for you today. Gentlemen, welcome to this Wednesday edition, a very special edition. I'm excited for the topic today. It is National Mutt Day. National Mutt Day. So the question becomes, who's your favorite dog? Who's your favorite mutt that you've had in your life? We'll start with you there, Scooter Jones.
Well, I've never had a dog personally. Like, if we're going just like dogs history all time, I used to love like Snoopy when I was a little kid. But
Snoopy counts.
Yeah, so I would throw Snoopy in there. If I did get a dog, I might have to, and I do want to get one eventually. And if I do get one, I think it's gonna be a Scotty, because obviously my name, and I just think they look really cool too. So I want to get myself a Scotty dog.
Would you name it Scotty too?
Probably.
So when you're mad at it, would you just absolutely just be like, "Dang it, Scotty"?
Yeah.
So how do you know?
Be like Dr. Evil, gotta go.
It's
maybe
Scotty don't.
Maybe Junior or something like
Junior?
that.
You're gonna juniorize your name to a dog? I like it.
Yeah.
Clifford, the big red dog, or my dog Sullivan, says Jeff Howard. That's a good pick to always take. It can be a celebrity dog. I'm not afraid of it. CJ, your favorite mutt?
So when I was a kid, we had a little dachshund, little wiener dog. We named, and his name was Scrappy. Love that thing. Just because it was small and it was kind of, it was just cute. So the bigger ones kind of freaked me out, but the little ones are cute.
I like it. D-Rix?
Nah, my favorite has to be growing up, my dog Buster. He was a big chow chow, big old dog, CJ. So I don't know if you'd be afraid to be around it or not. But man, Buster was something. He was very protective of his family. That's for sure.
Wow, Rob.
Just in case nobody believes me, my dog actually has his own Facebook, and that would be Nash Mushbath. But Nash is the cutest yellow dog on planet Earth. All that stuff. I had a dog named Scrappy too. I really never got over that one. He was a Norwegian Elk Hound, unbelievably gorgeous dog and loyal as hell. But Nash and Scrappy.
My favorite these comments today, man. My favorite dog is my dog Boomer. We've had him for about I think 11 years at this point. Boomer follows me around everywhere to the point now where if I get up to go to the bathroom middle of the night, the dog will follow me from my side of the bed to the bathroom. And with the new flooring that we just put down not even a year ago, you hear his click, 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 click. My wife goes bananas, and she always refers to him as my dog when he's being bad. So I'll take Boomer, and I will also take Scrappy, like the Scrappy from the Scrappers, which is also with a shout out to Scruff McGruff from the old school days. And bonus points if you can sing the Scruff McGruff theme song from back in the old days.
Was that the crime fighting dog?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, McGruff the crime dog.
I was already doing drugs in the 4th grade. I wasn't a fan of that mutt.
We don't condone any of that here on the YSN Power Hour.
That's a joke for all you serious people.
Mikey chiming in saying, my dog Roxy, who's a German/Australian Shepherd. So that's a big dog. Well, the Australian ones are smaller though, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Maybe it's a medium-sized dog because the German Shepherds are absolutely humongous. Sarah, my wife, had a German Shepherd when we were dating, so had a couple of German Shepherds, I think, over the course of her life. All right, Rob, it is your turn, my friend. It's time for the Baird Brothers Would You Rather, brought to you by our friends at BairdBrothers.com. Rob, take it away.
All right. Would you rather listen to an annoying laugh for an entire day or get tickled for 1 hour? And I mean, if we need like examples of annoying laughs, I don't know if you guys are Seinfeld fans at all, but there was a couple on there. I don't think I could beer on that one girl for an entire day. So
I'd have to go with annoying laugh. Tickling it's the worst, especially when you can't catch your breath. Like when you were little and like somebody would tickle you and they think it's funny and you're like hyperventilating because you can't get them off you. Like you're not strong enough. And you just like, all right, stop. Like you can't, like, I can't do tickling. Like, and there's something to a point where, you know, that test they do on your knee at the doctor's office when you get in a physical, like that tickle, like immediately kick. It's immediate. Somebody kicks me or somebody tickles me, they're getting kicked or punched or something. So for the safety of everyone else, I'm going to go with the annoying laugh. Scotty?
Yeah, I have to agree with you, DJ. I'm just so ticklish. So like I feel like it would just be agony, more so than listening to an annoying laugh all day. I'm just too ticklish, man. Plus I'll just giggle sometimes out of nowhere and laugh, and if I'm tickled on top of it, I'm not gonna be able to breathe. And it'd just be a mess.
I'm interested in this comment. Brian, help us out with what you're trying to do here, man. Preston Kerr, sophomore guard for East Liverpool.
Sounds like he's trying to get a shutout going.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Shout out to him. I don't know if it's for big dogs or for what, because we were talking about dogs. So I hope he's not confused about it. But help us out here, Brian. What you'd like? We'll give a shout out to Preston all day. CJ.
Yeah, I would probably go with the annoying laugh. That tickle thing sounds horrible for an hour.
Yeah, is it just tickle anywhere, or is it like only ticklish spot? Like I don't know. You can get dangerous with this question too.
Well, it depends on where you like being tickled at. I mean, me personally, if like just of course, daytime TV, but like if you go in the midsection, the hell if you go on my inner thigh, like if you start, I'll freak out. But at the same time, the idea of listening to an actual no. But then on top of that, I'd be worried about if I did get tickled for an hour, crapping my pants. I'd be like, "There's no way." So I got to go with the annoying laugh just to stay safe.
Donnie?
I mean, are you allowed to like tell that person with the annoying laugh like you're obnoxious like during this whole time, or are we?
I think
like,
you got to eat it.
Oh yeah, doesn't say anything about that. I'm sure you could comment on anything you want.
I mean, we can mock them back and everything else, and make.
But you still have to listen to it the entire day.
Oh,
the entire day?
24 hours.
Or get tickled for 1 hour.
By the way, your would you rather yesterday?
Uh-oh. The suspense is killing us.
Oh.
You guys for a second there. But your would you rather yesterday sucked. By the way, that was so hard for me. I lost sleep over that. So, but anyways, I'd have to go with the annoying laugh too, only because, God, I know how annoying it is when my wife tries to tickle and like it's just nope. I'm not putting up with that for an hour.
Couldn't do it, especially if they touch your feet. Like it's over.
It's
like
I can handle almost anything but the feet.
It's one of those things where they just do it to annoy you, and it's like they know it annoys you, so they just keep going and trying. And it's like, man, one of these times, you better hope a right hook doesn't slip.
Well, and the worst is like a son, daughter, niece, nephew, just a little kid in general. If they're trying, like you do the tickle monster game, and they try to tickle you, and they get your feet, you got to warn them that like you can't do that. you can't. You're about to learn life real quick if you touch my feet.
No, the best is if you start if I start tickling the fiance, and then she starts laughing. So I'm like, what a coincidence! I'm so glad you're enjoying this. Now, meantime, she's getting ready to kill me because she's actually hating it, but she can't stop laughing. So I'm like, well, I mean, you clearly are enjoying this, so I'm just going to keep going. And she'll clearly want to stab me in the neck with a butter knife after that.
All right. So the question we started this yesterday. A question from the I guess the peanut gallery here on the Power Hour. We're going to answer these at the end of the show, but can we get away from parochial versus public for a little bit? I think that's like I don't want to make it parochial versus public every question of every day. So if they can do us, I know Jeff's out there and Brian's out there and King Quinn's out there. If you guys can make it a little bit more broad, so we can kind of talk about it instead of just pointing straight at parochial versus public every day. I don't want to beat a dead horse. So with that in mind, we'll get to that at the end of the show. Guys, I'm excited about today's topic because it's different. I heard it earlier. Someone asked the question, who's the most underappreciated player in Pittsburgh or Cleveland or whatever? So it got me to thinking, who's the most underappreciated student athlete or coach in our area? And we can name more than one, obviously, but start thinking about that, because at the end of the day, we talk about some of these kids. Bo Brungard as a kid, we talk about a lot, and for just reasons, because of what he's done. But there's so many that fly underneath the radar that don't get talked about. You talk about offensive linemen. You talk about some of these bowlers and golfers. And to me, the most under the radar kids should be a little bit more, and that's what we try to do. But you can't always get to all of them. So my question to everybody out there, everybody on this panel today, is who is the most underappreciated student athlete and coach in the Valley? Anybody want to start this off? We'll take volunteers first.
I mean, I'll go first. This is like kind of like a hard subject to even discuss, especially if it's thrown right up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, the first kid that jumps into my head, and one of the other reasons it's hard is because, number one, I mean, it's not like I watch these kids every single week. But I'll tell you, Don Parker for Poland, when I watched him play, I've seen him play twice. And after each time I've watched him play, and I'll give you a specific example. It was the one time it was a Struthers game. And I watched this kid, and there's a difference between, running at somebody and running through somebody and running around somebody. We all know that. But this kid was trying to run through this other kid's soul and embarrass him in front of his entire family and make him never want to play football again. And I'm talking about lowering the shoulder, sends this kid flying. I don't even want to say his name because I think I might get it wrong. And then he runs for an 80-yard touchdown. I seen him play against Canfield, and he was just all over the place. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why the hell isn't this kid running the ball more? So as soon as you asked that question, I was trying to think real quick, like, who can I think of? And that is one of the first things that popped in my head.
It's funny.
Coaching. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I thought that you were going to go a different route with Poland. And listen, Christian was under the radar all year. We tried to push as much as we could, still got a ton of accolades after the season. But Christian Colosimo is a kid that just did his job, took his lunch pail to work, and, he's a blue-collar kid from a blue-collar town doing a blue-collar job at linebacker and does what the coaches ask and does it very well at a high level. I think he got more appreciation. I don't want to say from the coaches or just from a general appreciation his junior year, because everybody had to watch him on YSN that wasn't attending the games than he did this year. And that's, again, it sucks because these kids work so hard and you wish you could give everybody that gold star. But Christian Colosimo was a player that offenses stayed away from the entire season. Like,
well, if you had a stat, one of the craziest stats that's not a stat because you really can't make it a stat, but if you think about it, that kid is literally famous for second half adjustments away from him.
Yep.
And Christian is the first kid I think about when I think about Poland. Of course, we love his dad and everything. Hell of a player. He's not just a good player either, man. He wears that green shirt for Poland for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
He wears that shirt because he's a hell of a person, and he's done a lot for that community and the younger kids coming up in this game. But watching him play, there's the underappreciation with Christian would be the fact that his stats can't blow up because it's not possible, because there's no way they're going to keep running to him, because as soon as they do, you get to see a highlight and he comes in the backfield like a lion getting ready to roar after you just got done destroying your backfield. So underappreciated, I would say Don Parker, but Christian.
That's two solid picks right there from Poland. And again, that's a program that is in the limelight a ton. Like, you can't go 2 feet without hearing about Poland X, Y, or Z, basketball, football, with all justice that's there. You know what I mean? Their program is storied, it's historic, and they continue to just churn them out from that standpoint. Who else you got? Anybody got someone that off the top of their tongue that just needs appreciation and is one of the most underappreciated players or student athletes in the Valley? Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, I have a player and a coach, actually. I obviously called the majority of the Boardman games this year, and one person that I talked about constantly for doing a lot of the dirty work was Stephen Conti.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Conti on defense was a back end safety, and man, he did everything he was asked to do. And we always talked about Sean O'Horo and Cam Thompson and Terrence Thomas, going to Purdue and everything. And Stephen was always one of those ones where we called his name a lot. I mean, he was probably second or third on the team in tackles and just did everything, all the dirty work. And even when he had to play some offense, he made some really, really smart catches, made some really good blocks. Just one of those kids that you appreciate him as a teammate, number one. And then the coach, he might be appreciated within his community, but I don't think he's talked about enough. And that's Poland's girls basketball coach, Nick Blanche.
Oh yeah.
Listen, you want to talk about one of the smartest coaches, one of the smartest scheme coaches there is. It's Nick Blanche. He has his kids so well prepared defensively and offensively every year, game in and game out. He does it all. We talked about the Walter Shields of the world, and deservedly so. But Nick Blanche needs to be talked about way more often outside of the Poland community than he is.
Dude needs to be celebrated, and that's what this is about. It's the season of giving, my friends. It's December 1st, and that's what we're here to do. CJ, your thoughts on underappreciation here in the Valley?
Yeah, so two come to my mind as far as players, and then I have a coach as well. All are from Girard. Girard, they made the playoffs this year, but they were, I think, 7-6 was their record. So I don't think people realize just how injured that team was. So Pat Pearson from Girard did a heck of a job trying to navigate that season. The injuries that he had a lot of injuries on the line. His starting quarterback went down. He had a wide receiver that went out. I mean, it seemed in the middle of the season, it seemed everything was just falling apart, but they still made the playoffs. So I thought he did a terrific job. And some of the play callings that he makes, he's very creative. They love their onside kicks. They're very creative with that kind of stuff. So I thought Pat Pearson did a terrific job. I'm hearing reverb. Let me try. Okay, there we go. Sorry. And then as far as players, from Girard, Michael Palmer was a stud, just a true stud in every regard. He did everything that they needed him to, had over 1,000 yards rushing, could be a receiver if they needed. I mean, he did everything. He was a Swiss Army knife. And he's an aggressive kid. He really impressed me. And then their kicker, Zach Morris. We don't hear a lot from kickers, but I think he only missed one field goal this year. I mean, just the leg strength he had. He was a sophomore. The leg strength he has was incredible from that young of an age. So I would go with those two players. Those two had a heck of a year this year, and they're going to be a big part next year.
I think I'm.
And for Bracey's later, we got Kelly and everything.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be a bad echo for a minute. I'm going to have to bounce out and come back in. Scotty, your thoughts?
Well, I'd probably stick with my alma mater and go with Louisville here. And for this year, from what I watched and the little bit of action he got in, and I know it was only his sophomore year, and I think he'll get more of a chance to show what he could do and get even better. But Braylon Dabney, wide receiver and a cornerback as well, he's one that I feel like didn't quite get talked about as much as some other guys locally and here at YSN. I know, DJ, you were just talking about Bo Brungard for Louisville. You know, Vinny Balone, he was the guy that got a lot of pub and talked about a lot. But that's the name that I think going forward that Braylon Dabney, I think he's only going to continue to get better in his junior and senior season for the Louisville Rockets.
Definitely Rob Hughes from Nickelback is very underappreciated as a fan and as a singer as well. There you go, Rob, getting your shout out. There's a few that, especially coaches, that cross my mind when you think about underappreciated. One of the biggest ones, I think, is Ken Harris at West Branch. The guy just continues to just churn out winners and winners and winners. And, you know, everybody talked about how West Branch was supposed to take a step back after what they lost last year. And Ken Harris drops in Drew DeShields in a situation as a junior and ends up with unbelievable numbers and, you know, regional championship runner-ups to Ursuline, who could potentially win the state championship this week, and we think will win the state championship this week. And it just tells you how good West Branch really is and how close they are. and I think Amo hit the nail on the head here with Josh Sigler. There's two coaches in particular from the EOAC from girls basketball that I want to highlight. Josh is certainly one of them, who is obviously the head coach for the girls team in United. He has quietly built that program back up to almost a dynasty level where the foundation is so strong that it should just be year after year after year after year. These young ladies just filling in and winning championships, or at least competing for championships on a yearly basis. It takes a very special coach to be able to do that in a school that is not big at all. It's more, people think of United for being a farm town rather than a basketball school. And to me, I think Josh Sigler is doing a fantastic job out there of changing the narrative as to what people expect from United girls sports, and not just United girls basketball or United in general. So kudos to him. And then you got to give a shout out to Will Franklin here at East Palestine, who could have walked it off into the sunset after winning his championship, the first ever in program history, and go out with all his seniors. But he decided against it, and he said there's something special here, and he wants to be a part of it. And he's not afraid to rebuild and reorganize and relaunch the East Palestine Bulldogs lady basketball program. And that says something to me. And there's a sense of appreciation whenever you win, right? Everybody has their hand out, and you're getting interviewed, and you're in the spotlight. But to go from being crowned as a champion, or whatever the championship ended up as last year in the EOAC, that was crazy. It was like a Part 1 champion and a Part 2 champion, and I don't know. Regardless, Will Franklin was the coach of East Palestine. The plaque is there for the first time. It sits there by itself as a reminder of how long it took to get that championship and what it took to get that championship. And again, he could have just walked away and said, you know what? I got a wife and kids at home. And he said, I'm here for the long haul. I'm here to build this program up and to respect the girls that respected me all this time. So underappreciation is huge. Football, you can just name names. Andy Hake is another guy that I'm very close to, that I think he is appreciated to a degree, but underappreciated in the sense that people just expect him to win. You know what I mean? Jimmy Francis-Celli. I mean, Donnie, you were with him last night. I think people just expect Jimmy to pump out an 18 to 20 win season every year, no matter who he's got on the floor. And I don't think people appreciate the time and effort that Jimmy puts into that program, into that school and that community, as to what some coaches do. They walk in, and when they're on the job, they're on the job, and when they're done, they hang up the whistle and they go home. Jimmy doesn't do that.
No, not at all. I mean, you could definitely tell, the amount of love and support that him and his family got last night was incredible, and you have to appreciate something like that. And again, community does, but does outside of the community actually fully understand and grasp what he is able to do for his players, and I think that's basically what you're trying to get at is, yes, they might be appreciated within their group, but does everybody else outside see the significance in them?
Coach Yeagley was brought up earlier, and I think he's another guy that is appreciated in the coaching ranks. And from the parent perspective, everybody wants a Coach Yeagley. I mean, I've heard Andy Hake say that he hopes his son Augustus can play for a guy like Coach Yeagley. Is there an appreciation from a standpoint from an announcer? I mean, we're all announcers here, and we're all fans at the very base of it. Is there appreciation from a fan standpoint of some of the coaches and players around here? I love being a fan of local athletes. I really do. I got to hang out with a couple Salem guys last night that I'm big fans of, Jackson Johnson and Carson Rhodes that stopped up in the broadcast booth. It's weird because, people think that we should be fans of professional athletes, but I think we should be just as big of fans of the kids that are in our community that we bump into, at the grocery store and at the movies or whatever. Rob, is there anybody out there like that you're just a huge fan of that isn't necessarily appreciated as much as they should be?
I mean, I can even think about the kids that I used to coach at a young age, watching them play high school football now. Just huge things. I've went to different games played here, different games played there, basketball games they played in, things like that. Once you become a fan of somebody like that, they don't go anywhere. And I watch them from here on out. Um, I mean, I think me personally, I've always been a huge fan of any kid that's doing anything like this. When you get a kid away from the TV and away from the screen in a sport period, I'm automatically all in. And I've always rooted for the kids like crazy. And I've been very annoying when it comes to cheering for my kids playing. There's been comments, and I have no problem.
Who cares?
And
It's your kid.
it is what it is. Yeah, and so I would say in regards to, of course, as a human race, we're automatically just thrown into the sports world that way, and we're gonna just there's a reason why we're paying money to go watch these athletes play, or watching Super Bowls in the NFL or NBA championships. But in comparison, me personally, I would rather root for a high school kid any day compared to a professional athlete.
I agree with that. CJ, you've been around long enough to be a fan of a few kids and showcase some of the, I don't want to say underrated, but underappreciated. Again, that's a word that's going to come up a lot today. Who have you become a fan of?
Oh, there's a lot. Some from Louisville, the Bologna, I believe they're cousins. I love their athleticism.
Bonovskis, yeah.
Yeah, the athleticism that some of those kids over at Louisville have is really cool to see. That and not just they're not just good at one sport. They're good at multiple different sports. They're multi-sport athletes. I love that. Anytime you have a multi-sport athlete, there's no, for me, I've never been one that you have to you pick a sport that's your sport. Nah, not in high school. Like, play all the sports, have fun, make friends. That's all that it's all about. And when I just love any multi-sport athlete.
Scotty, from your perspective, have you been able to get a couple people on your radar that you become fans of here on the network?
Yeah, I definitely have been able to get a couple of people. I mentioned the kid from Louisville earlier that's a sophomore and that's only going to get better. As far as somebody commented about audit Columbiana, Bob Spate, and the job he's able to do. But I think you got people there, and even more so. I know he's not an under the radar guy, but just Vinny Balone and how watching him blossom and turn into the quarterback he's turned into. I think you go back, a year or two ago. I don't know if everybody, saw that coming. So it's just good to see. And with this platform that you have given me here, DJ at YSN, like being out of the high school like sports scene for a while and then being able to get back in it here and watch guys really flourish like Braylon Dabney, who I mentioned earlier at Lowville. That's what it's all about, man. Is the guys that maybe they're not getting talked about as much, but you see them go out there and just do their job and do these great things on the field. And then a lot of them are, they got a 4.0 or close to 4.0 GPAs off the field. And it's just, it's being a homer, and you talk about DJ encouraging homers in our broadcast, but that's honestly one of the biggest things I love about YSN is being able to be a homer, being encouraged to be a homer.
It's funny that you say that, Scotty, because our next conversation, as when we come back from break, it's a hot button topic right now in the area. Is what is considered Youngstown? What is considered right and just? And I know there's a lot of people that are pretty PO'd about some murals here in the area, and I gotta be honest with you, Youngstown is a state to me. It is a community of people who rally around the Y, and we're going to talk about that because this is an interesting topic, especially when it comes to sports. And given that there's a state championship on Friday, the entire state of Youngstown is behind the Ursuline Irish. So we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to ask you fans out there to discuss the most underappreciated coach and student athlete in the area. We want to hear from you, the fans. All that and more coming up on the Ysn Power Hour, powered by our awesome sponsors. Didn't work.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense, to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour, everybody. DJ Yoakley with you, along with Scotty and CJ and Donnie and Rob. And we're talking about underappreciation here in the Valley. We'll get to that we'll probably tap that at the end of the show as well. But there's a lot of conversation going around about what is considered Youngstown. And had a great conversation with two of my favorites, ladies in the area, two that we love here at YSN. It's Kelsey and Colin over at K Squared Marketing. They are a great part of our team, a huge part of our team, and got a chance to have some coffee with them this afternoon. And this was a topic of discussion, was what is considered Youngstown. Donnie, you're living and breathing it. It's a frustration point for so many because if you were just to look at Youngstown, it's about 65,000 people. But if you were to look at the people that care about Youngstown and represent Youngstown, you're looking at about, 500,000 people. Your thoughts on what is considered Youngstown?
First of all, this whole thing that's going on right now is absolutely ridiculous because I grew up in a 1 square mile village in McDonald, Ohio, but when people ask me where I'm from, I tell them I'm from Youngstown. I mean, the problem is there's three words. There's Youngstown, Mahoney Valley, and Steel Valley. I mean, what these people are understanding is it's the Youngstown mantra. It's the Youngstown way of life. It's the Youngstown, cities and townships or whatever you want to call it. everything in this area was built on the steel mills and everything else, way back when. So the fact that people are all up in arms about, okay, the mural is on the Southern Park Mall and it says something about a city's, you can't break a city built on steel, whatever that is. Listen, I love the motto. I love the mural. I love the fact that we are still embracing, the Steel Valley. We're still embracing Youngstown. I mean, I could care less about what anybody thinks about it. If I say I'm from Youngstown, okay, I think I'm technically from Donald, Ohio, but I was born in Youngstown. All right, so I don't know. It fires me up a little bit because they're making such a big deal out of it, making such a big deal out of nothing. And I get it. What some of the people are saying, well, what are your contributions to the city of Youngstown? I think that's just, I don't know. I don't agree with what they're doing right now, with what they're trying to cause right now, because we're like, okay, I didn't go to a Youngstown City school. I didn't go to this. I root for Youngstown more than I root for any other area in the world. So they can shove it.
It's an interesting topic because at the end of the day, and I've said this to many people, and when I've had the chance to speak to the different teams and things of that nature, I have T-shirts, I have a sweatshirt, I live it. It's just a kid from East Palestine, right?
Right.
And when I go out of this area and they say, where are you from? I don't say East Palestine, I say I'm from Youngstown, because it's the easiest way for someone to understand where we're from and who we are. So is East Palestine Youngstown? Not necessarily, but it's grouped together. So just for instance, when you're talking about the OHSAA and how they classify YSN, we are classified in the Youngstown demographic because that's where we are. We're in the Columbiana, Mahoning, Trumbull County area, so that's who we get grouped in with. So I am proud to say that I'm from Youngstown. And when people say you're not from Youngstown, you're from East Palestine, I laugh at them because I say at the end of the day, it's all the same. We're all the same people. We go to the Youngstown Class B League to play baseball. We go to YSU to go to our schooling. We go to Youngstown. You used to be the Youngstown Crab Company. We do this. Youngstown is now a brand. And what drives me nuts, guys, about all of this conversation is we should be unifying around the flag of Youngstown as opposed to trying to segregate each other and saying, well, you're not Youngstown because you're from Poland, or you're not Youngstown because you're from Boardman, or you're not Youngstown because you're from East Palestine. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, especially in moments like this, in weeks like this, East Palestine is cheering for Ursuline to win the state title. McDonald is rooting for Ursuline to win the state title because they're from Youngstown. We get each other. We're on the same team whenever we're eliminated, right? The same way that Ursuline will root for X, Y, or Z. This is how it goes. And for really, it's just one group of people trying to segregate that. We're in a company or a business that tries to unite everybody. We've got 50 schools and over a dozen organizations, from the youth all the way up to adult, semi-pro baseball. We've got college baseball. And I will tell you this, it has been my honor and my joy to be able to bring everybody and rally around the town of Youngstown, the state of Youngstown, because that's who we are. We are not defined by necessarily the colors that we wear in our high schools, but we are defined by the area that we represent in our state when push comes to shove. And that is why I think we are all Youngstown. Rob?
I'll give you a good example of how it plays out depending on where you're from. I grew up in Boardman, and I think we were saying this earlier in the week, and then I went to Brookfield. Well, I don't know how I automatically got this reputation as the gangsters type, and people automatically assumed that because I was from Boardman, I was from Youngstown. And we were at a football game in Newton Falls, and I won't say his name, but he came and got me because some 6'4" huge monster was messing with him. Long story short, I went down there and handled the business for him. I was one of those guys that beat up the bullies. If you were bullying people, then you and I were going to have words, because I had no issues with it. And I'll never forget what he said. He was like, "I told you this crazy one from Youngstown," because everybody said I was from Boardman. They were talking about it, and my nickname became Gangster because I was from Boardman, because Boardman was so close to Youngstown. And here's the thing: when you're going out of town, or you go to Myrtle Beach or California, Florida, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you go to Poland, Struthers, Austintown, Fitch, Boardman. It doesn't matter. You could be from Lowville, McDonald. You could be from freaking Niles, Howland. You could be from Newcastle. I don't care where you're from. If you're even close to this city, when you're way far away, you're telling everybody that you're from Youngstown. You're not going to tell anybody that you're from McDonald because they're going to look at you and go, "Where the hell is that?" As soon as you say Youngstown, they know.
How is it, Rob, that people from Pittsburgh, let's say, for instance, my wife's she's from Pittsburgh, but it's a town called Bellevue, right? And when people ask her where she grew up, she says Pittsburgh, and nobody questions that. They embrace the fact that they're from Pittsburgh. But here in Youngstown, we say, "Oh no, you're not from Youngstown, you're from Boardman." Wait a minute. Like why are we segregating ourselves instead of just unifying around the flag? And the question comes from King Quinn, says, "Does Columbiana qualify for Youngstown?" Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what the heck? You're like 30 minutes away. Why not?
I've been telling people,
the people that are stuck on this whole, mural at the Southern Park Mall, because I went to the mall Black Friday, I think. And as soon as I pulled in, it's the first time I seen it.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you what, man, I sure as hell didn't get offended that we were in Boardman, which is literally 2 minutes down the street from Youngstown, which you're a suburb of. And if anything, don't sit there and pretend for 2 seconds when YSU was going on their runs. You weren't the first one in line to get them tickets to go support them in their championship. What you have here is simply a group of people, because it's 2021 and it's cool to bitch about stuff, and that's what they're doing. And
So
they're throwing it out there, and that's it.
We talked about Kelly last week, Kelly Pavlik, when he was crowned middleweight champion of the world. When he was announced, they didn't say he was from Lowville. Where did they say he was from?
Youngstown.
He's from Youngstown, Ohio.
And that's who Kelly said after that fight. That who was it for? Lowville? No.
It's for Youngstown.
He said it was for Youngstown.
And that's the crazy thing. I mean, CJ, you're a Western Pennsylvania guy. I never hear Pittsburghers arguing over you're from Pittsburgh or not because you're from Beaver County.
Well, some of those diehard Yinzers, they'll get you. If you don't have a 412 area code for your on your phone number, I have a 724. You're not from Pittsburgh. You're from Beaver County. Anytime I'm out, and Rob's totally right. Anytime I'm out, across the country, I don't tell people I'm from Beaver, and I'm a diehard Beaver guy, right? I coach at Beaver. I have all the Beaver swag, right? Love the area, love the town. I tell people I'm from Pittsburgh. It's easier to get people to understand just the geographic area where you're from. So the conversation of, Youngstown, not Youngstown, this whole area is Youngstown, as far as I'm concerned. If you live near Erie, you're going to say you're close to Cleveland. If you live in a suburb of New York City, well, they might be a little tricky because they'll say they're from Brooklyn or from Queens or from wherever, but you live in the city, right? So,
well, that's a good point, because whenever people say I'm from New York, what do you visualize? I visualize New York City.
Yeah,
automatically.
But everybody, like when I said my grandmother lives in New York, people think I'm going to New York City. Really, I'm going to some country bumpkin place called Verona that you're milking cows for 6 weeks out of your year. So, Scotty, when people ask you where you're from, you say loud and proud, you're from?
I say I'm from Youngstown, man. I think it's all connected together. Look, I graduated from Lowville High School. That's my alma mater. I grew up in Camel. I've heard some people call it Sioux City. Other people call it, the city of churches. But to me, when I think about being in Camel and the people that have called it Soup City, it makes me think of Youngstown too, because it's like a soup and how we're all like mixed in. The ingredients are mixed in together. And another thing, DJ, and I'm sure you've you've gotten this since we've started here at YSN. I know I haven't been aboard the whole time. You started in 2017. I think I came along in 19. But a lot of people, like, when they'll preface it and they'll say YSN, but a lot of people, my friends and family, they'll start talking about it and they'll be like, oh, instead of saying your sports network, they'll say Youngstown Sports Network, and I don't even correct them because you know why? They're on the website. They're getting the brand and the name out there. So to me, there's no need to correct them unless they ask, like, what's the name? Then I'll tell them we're your sports network. But for the people that are already following and they call it Youngstown Sports Network, I'm like, that's totally fine with me as long as you're following.
So I got to tell you a quick story about when I was doing the JFK game the other night, and there was two guys from Spectrum. One guy was doing the camera work, and the other guy was broadcasting the game. After we were picking up, the guy goes, "Oh, so what's the Y in YSN stand for?" And I said, "Well, it stands for your." And he goes, "Oh, okay. I thought it stood for Youngstown." Similar to Scotty, what you were just talking about. I said, "No." I said, "But we represent Youngstown. We represent what is the Youngstown area and all of the schools, or most of the schools, I should say. Wink, wink. We represent those schools." And he goes, "Well, that's good because if you guys want to grow, Youngstown would pigeonhole you." And I looked at him dead and I wish there was somebody there. Dom O'Brien was already gone because it was snowy out. I looked at him dead in the face and I said, "I don't care if all the further we go is Youngstown, because I am honored to represent the Y. And if you think the Y stands for Youngstown, we'll represent Youngstown to the best and the shiniest of networks here. And I'd be honored to be able to represent this area. And I am honored to represent this area." And he didn't know what to do. He's one of those situations, and he probably didn't think anything of it when he said it. But I love this town. I love this area, rich in history, rich in tradition, rich in sports. I've often said that there's two things that matter here in this area, and it's sports and weather. And we're going to own one of them. So either I need to go get my meteorology degree, or we start kicking ass in the sports department. And we've done one of those. So I'll let you pick on which one that was. But at the end of the day, for us, it all boils down to this whole area is Youngstown. East Liverpool, people joke about it being in England. That's Youngstown to me. That is, the fruits of their labor are going to be represented in Youngstown. If they go to a state championship, Youngstown will be watching. Youngstown will be rooting for them. So I don't care if they were smart. And Donnie, you're a marketing guy, so you'll understand where I'm going with this. If they were smart, instead of trying to segregate us again, right, and say you are for Youngstown, you are not, they would take that mural that's at the Southern Park Mall that was so well done, and they would put one of those in every town in this area. In Youngstown, they would put one in every town, and at the bottom of it, they would have East Liverpool, they would have Struthers, they would have McDonald, they would have East Palestine, they would have, I don't care where you're from. If you want to be on our side, you want to be Youngstown, welcome, baby. Come on. The water's warm here, and I think that's the way to do this. The way that it's been going about is completely backwards, and to be able to embrace Youngstown is something that we need to do instead of running away from it and say, I was here first. Complete BS. Let's get to some comments here. Well, Liverpool is in England, so it must be the east part of it in England. We got some good chat going on in the chat box today. All right, it's chat box question time. We haven't named it. It's not great right now. Let's see who we got here. Did you guys see one that you liked? I saw the Parochial one early.
You want to do that and then put that one to bed?
Yeah, let's. If you want to, I'll let you have it, brother. Go ahead. The question today is, why are the majority of state championships coming from parochial schools? Example, Hoban, St. Ed's in football, St. V's in basketball, as well as Hoban in baseball and the other sports. Donnie Riccatelli, spit the truth.
I mean, do I need to be Captain Obvious? It's because those schools that, aside from open enrollment, they can attract the better players and compete. I mean, Hoban for how many years in a row now has been a state championship caliber team. So obviously you're going to be able to get better players together, and when you do that, you become more successful. So there's my 2 cents.
All right, let's do the second one since we have a minute here. Let's go with who is the most overrated and underrated school in the area? Donnie, I know you like this one too. I'll let you rest on this one. Rob, what are your thoughts on the most overrated and underrated school in the area? Be careful.
Jesus. I mean, you talk about putting somebody on the spot. I'll
start with it.
Are they talking? Yeah, I was gonna say, are we talking about all sports or just football? Or
we can navigate this however we want because they left it broad, like we asked them to. So they followed directions unbelievably. So thank you for that. I'm gonna say Wyndham is the most underrated school in this area. I think because they're out there in the middle of nowhere between Wyndham and Garfield. Garfield, especially this year in football, was, you want to talk about underappreciated. My goodness. Undefeated season, who this guy called from the jump, basically. Between Wyndham and Garfield, they're out there in no man's land. That Cleveland doesn't really touch them. Youngstown kind of claims them. But here comes YSN, and we just bring them in and love everybody, right? ELE. They are so underrated, those two schools, in the character that they possess and how they go about their business. They don't care who's watching them. They just care that they're doing the right thing at the right time, no matter what time it is. So I'm going to say underrated. Let's go with Wyndham and Garfield. I'm not going to do overrated because I don't believe in overrated. With all due respect, I think it's stupid to say that a 17 or 18-year-old is overrated. I think that's garbage. So let's just go underrated. Scotty, most underrated school that you think there is out there?
I mean, for me, just because of their consistency they put out year to year. I mean, I don't know, even though if you could call them underrated would be the best way to put it, but I think like Crestview is a school that comes to mind. They would probably be my top one. I just think they're consistently, not talked about like a Hubbard or a Canfield or a Poland, but you just know what you're getting with them. So
I like it.
I would go with Crestview.
Siege?
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I'm not totally familiar as far as every school here. I would say traveling around, I was very impressed with Louisville's campus whenever we went and did the Louisville football game. It's interesting to me that they're one of the few fields around here, I guess, that have grass still. But I thought, as far as sports goes for them, they're pretty consistently good at most things. So I would go with them. I think they're pretty underrated.
I think Gerard's on that boat too. I really
do.
Gerard's
football field was beautiful. It really was.
Yeah.
And they have a great complex there, and they're good at whatever they can do there.
Donnie, you have your finger on the pulse of this. I mean, all day.
I think this is a pretty easy one, actually, and it's Salem. I mean, look at Salem all the way through. Their football, basketball, girls basketball, baseball. I don't know much about their softball programs. Their track programs are phenomenal. Their soccer has been great. I mean, the girls soccer team tied for the most wins this year in school history. I mean, you have to look at them and say, they're just not talked about. Salem's one of those ones where, okay, it's down in the corner, okay, so they're not going to get all the coverage that an Ursuline will get, or a Mooney or Fitch or even Boardman gets, but it has to be Salem. I mean, you would have to say Salem or West Branch, but Salem to me more so than a West Branch. Yeah, for sure.
Rob?
I mean, it's like I said, it's such a hard question if you're not really researching it and trying to figure out a good answer. But I mean, the only thing that underrated, I was almost going to say I almost had a school pick for overrated, but I'm not going to do that after what you said. But underrated, I'm going to just say McDonald.
I don't think there's a wrong answer on the bunch, and I would include a lot more of those schools in there for underrated because, I mean, listen, people are going to say Moody is underrated. They're going to say Ursuline's underrated. It's not about who gets the most pub. It's about who's underrated. And for some reason, I say it about West Branch all the time, people are still undervaluing what Ursuline's football team is going to bring to the table on Friday. Like, I've heard that they're dogs by 20. Show me how they are ever going to be dogs by 20 going into a football game. I don't know. That's going to put a bow on the regular portion. It is time for... everybody's favorite time of day. It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at DickeyElectric.com. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, you go to the official electric supplier of your sports network. You go to Joe Dickey Electric. Let's go, Rob.
This is for anybody. I don't care if you're a kid, adult, woman, man. If you chew with your mouth open, I'll just assume that you take baths instead of showers. I can't explain how rude and ignorant you are as a person. Let me just put this into perspective. If you're at a family gathering and you chew and you're doing an impersonation of a hippopotamus, do you realize that you're actually holding us hostage? Because realistically, we can't take our backhand and smack the hell out of your mouth. If you are that person, listen to me very carefully. Do yourself and every single person around you a favor and start eating with your mouth shut. For the love of God, thank you.
T-Rex, good luck.
I always have to follow that. Come on. No, honestly, positive spark. Game 3 tonight for Mackenzie and the Boardman Lady Spartans. Home tonight against Louisville. I'm obviously her number one fan. I enjoy hard workers and watching hard workers go to work. So that's my spark.
There you go, Siege.
Yeah, I'll go with negative. So the Pirates the other day, I think it was yesterday, made one of the most idiotic trades I've ever. I couldn't even consider it. They traded away their starting catcher, Jacob Stallings, who just won a Gold Glove. He's probably the best defensive catcher in the game, and you trade him away for, I don't know, a bottom of the rotation starter, a couple prospects. What he brought to that pitching staff, and I know it wasn't great, but he brought a level of consistency, and it's just insane to me that we got to trade away all the decent players just so we can build up a farm system. The farm system's already good. It makes no sense to me. The other thing is we're about to have a lockout in about 8 hours because the two sides have decided that they're done talking for the day. Why? You have all day to talk. You've had months to talk. It's just insane to me. We have two idiots in charge of Major League Baseball that can't negotiate on anything, and they're going to have their jobs at the end of the day. Rob Manfred and Clark, who runs the Players Association, those two are morons on all levels, and I can't stand either one of them.
This is the most fired up I've ever seen you. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at right now?
Oh, I'm not kidding. I'm pissed off right now.
I was like, whoa, dude.
Where are you at, Siege?
At 10. I'm pissed off because the Pirates, it's so insane to me. Why do we have to trade all half-decent players? The only thing that makes it okay is they signed Roberto Perez, who's also a good catcher. They better sign Reynolds to an extension or I'm going to lose it.
Can you get a spinoff going? what's going on with the Pirates with CJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day.
We had a Yankee update for a while. We can do a Pirate update.
I couldn't care less about the Pirates. I've never even seen them play. I'm not kidding. But now I'm very curious about this baseball team.
Oh, my goodness.
Just know that Max Scherzer is making about $10 million more than the Pirates payroll.
The entire Pirates team. All right. To turn it over to our resident Cleveland expert, go ahead, Scooter.
All right. My one is a positive one, and then my other one is a kind of a half negative, half positive, all in one. My positive today was getting to talk a lot about local stuff and underrated stars. When I've been on the show, we talked quite a bit of national and we made game picks, but it's nice to just reflect on what we've seen this year sports wise and give some people that we feel don't always get their just due. Yeah, I give them some time. And then my half positive, half negative spark is the realization that I could just kind of relax and realize that the Browns are, where they've been for the most part of the past 20 years. And it's, back to being pretty much mediocre again and pretty much eliminated from the playoffs, barring a miracle. And the way they're playing right now, I think they could lose out, honestly. So, really no sweat there. I've come to the realization that you beat me again in another bet, DJ. So congratulations.
Who bets the Browns against the field in the Super Bowl? That's all I want to know.
Very dedicated fan, I'll tell you that much.
Scotty, how many times did I ask you not to take that bet?
It was at least pushing 10 times.
I said, you don't want this bet. You don't want this bet. You don't want to bet the Browns against the field as Super Bowl champions. And you actually increased the amount of money. Instead, like I was pushing your buttons, and you said, "Let's do $100. Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. I feel good." So
I think that was when we were 3-1. We started 3-1, and
you were drinking the juice, buddy.
Yeah,
you were drinking the juice.
I was drinking the Kool-Aid.
All right. For mine, I'm going to go opposite on CJ. I'm excited about this Pirate team. I am. And I know CJ's rolling his eyes right now and he's smiling doing it, but I would say this is that somebody, Sigler, asked me, what is it going to take to win a championship? And I said, we will not win a championship as long as Jacob Stallings is our catcher. And what I meant by that then and what I mean by that now is completely different. I didn't think he was that good of a catcher. I did think he was a good leader. And CJ, all your points are well taken, but at the end of the day, we will not win with Jacob Stallings as our starting catcher. And I mean that in the utmost respect for Jacob Stallings. We need to start developing. I mean, when they drafted, was it Henry Davis?
Yeah.
First overall, Stallings should have just wrote on his. It should have looked like the Tom Hanks movie where he's just marking days because his days were numbered there. So we're looking for a bridge guy. He's never going to be more valuable, Stallings, than he was this year. So getting rid of him, while it sucks, I still understand it. The Pirates still need to trade one guy for 3. While I do think that happens with Stallings, I don't think it happens with Reynolds. Reynolds is the guy that they're going to build this team around like we did with Kutch so many years ago. But my negative spark is going to be Andrew McCutchen supposedly saying the blue cap on Twitter, the emoji, means it basically F you, I guess. Now,
he clarified it just means that the Pirates haven't yet reached out.
Okay.
So that's all that meant, because what the original tweet was that the two sides were speaking. All he said was that the Pirates have not yet reached out. But there is interest.
Hot. I was hot that McCutchen would do that. So sorry, Rob, to bore you with all our Pirates information here at the end of the show, but that will screw off, Sigler. screw off.
They're going to lose 100 games.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
mean-
I'll take the Pirates and 99 losses, and you can have over 100, 100 and more. I'll take that bet right now for a hundo, whoever wants it. I already owe Sigler a jersey from this year. So
I gotta redeem myself. I'll take that bet.
You're going double down?
Double down.
Well, here we go. The bet has been taken. There are witnesses. All right, that's going to do it for our show today. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to you guys for stopping by 3 to 4 and talking sports. I thought it was a great conversation today. Hopefully you guys can catch us tomorrow 3 to 4 right here on YSN. See you later. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation